The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome to April. I can't believe it's April already. It's supposed to be 80 degrees this weekend, and it snowed 2 days ago, so welcome to Indiana. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Vice President, Hillary Couture, to introduce our program.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's guest is the gallery coordinator at Artlink, and her name is Ellen Mensch, and she is a Fort Wayne native. Went to Indiana University to get her degree in fine art painting in 2017, and then on to get her master's degree at Bowling Green State College in 2020. And she's had a lot of different jobs in art fields, such as being a book illustrator and doing commissioned work, and now is the gallery coordinator for Artlink. And I'd like to welcome Ellen. Take it away.
Oh, thank you, Hillary. Can everybody on Zoom hear me? This is my first time with this mic. So today I'm pretty much going to just be going over some history of Artlink, some present of Artlink. I know all of you are probably artists that I'm talking to, so feel free to butt in with questions anytime you want. My primary reason for being here is to provide information and access to anything you're interested in getting involved with Artlink. We have a lot of different opportunities that I'll talk about today. And I'm going to leave a lot of room for question and answer at the end. I think that'll be probably more beneficial to you. So I'm just going to start with a little bit about Artlink. Are a lot of people here familiar with Artlink since the beginning? Yeah? A few. It's been around for a long time, since the 70s. Many of you may be familiar with Bruce Linker. He still comes into Artlink pretty often for our exhibition openings. He's a great guy, and Artlink started back in the mid-70s in his apartment on Broadway right next to the brass rail. And it just started as the Linker Gallery. Was a little bit casual sort of meetup spot for artists from the Fort Wayne School of Art to kind of show their work and meet up and have some exhibition openings. It wasn't until, I think, 1978 that it became Artlink Alternative Art Space, I believe is what it was called, and moved across the street to what is now the Phoenix, I believe. Did anyone go to any shows when it was in either of those spaces? Been a little while. So yeah, after that, it went to another location on Broadway, eventually around 1990 when Betty Fishman became the executive director. It had moved to Berry Street, which is where a lot of people are really familiar with it, until 2011, and it moved to Main Street where we are today. So many of you maybe have not been into our current space, but hopefully you will after today. And some of you probably have exhibited in our member show at least. That's one of our most popular, and one that I'll be talking about at the end especially because it's coming up. So that's a little bit of our history. And then as far as our present, we are still a contemporary art gallery. We're still very interested in showing what's new and emerging right now in today's society. We show mostly local art, but we also show regional, national, and international art. We actually have exhibited around 350 artists in the last year. 60 or 70% of those were from Northeast Indiana. So our primary mission is to support artists through exhibition, education, and community engagement, which today we're doing so in a lot of different ways, especially since the pandemic. Everything kind of took a little bit of a turn, I'm sure, for you as well. obviously, since a lot of you are watching me right now on Zoom. And we have also done that with Artlink as well. We have had artist interviews over Zoom, sort of artist talks over Zoom, but we're just now starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy. So we are now holding exhibition openings in person. We also have a variety of artist-led workshops that are coming up in different media. That's one of our future goals, is to kind of always have a media-based workshop alongside an exhibition that coincides well with it. So some of our most upcoming ones are a cyanotype workshop by Erin Pat McFerrin, who has a work of cyanotypes being shown in May with us. After that, I'm sure you've heard of some of the plein air workshops that we're holding with the jurors from Kikianga. There's a pastel, an oil, and watercolor workshop coming up. So those are all things I'll remind you of at the end. And we also have some printouts for any of you to take. But a little bit of background about me, I suppose. Hillary mentioned I got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts in painting from IU, and then soon after that, I actually was the gallery assistant for Artlink. So you probably met me in that time if you were exhibiting with us. I had a lot to do with the exhibitions at that point as the assistant. And when I left in 2018 to get my Master's of Fine Art in Painting, I still was very close to Artlink and really appreciated the history and the present of Artlink. So I tried to sort of stay engaged as much as I could from afar. Me and some of my professors actually had a traveling exhibition called On Being, some of you may have seen at some point, and that traveled to Artlink as well as a couple other states. And after grad school, I came back to Fort Wayne and started teaching as an adjunct for both Purdue, Fort Wayne, and St. Francis, and soon after became the exhibitions coordinator for Artlink. I think as the exhibitions coordinator, what's most important to me within Fort Wayne is really just to, as a nonprofit gallery, show artwork that we feel is important to be seen, which is one perk that we really have as a nonprofit, is we don't have to worry so much about sellability, or having to, only pick what is popular at the time. So we're always very happy to be showing very diverse exhibitions, some that are not, necessarily sellable at all if they're purely installation-based. We've had a wide range of exhibitions in the last year, but we hold about 10 per year, which some of you are probably familiar with a few of those. Annually, there are some group exhibitions, such as our 42nd National Print Exhibition that's open right now, closing this week if you'd like to see it. We also have our Members Exhibition, which is one of our longest running. This year will be the 44th year of our Members Exhibition, so we would love to have as many of you who are willing and able to submit some work to us. One second. And we also have our Midwest Regional Exhibition. Those are three that are long-standing and happen annually with us, and anyone is eligible to apply to those. But we also have a select amount of spots throughout the year for solo, group, and curated proposals. So anyone watching on Zoom or here tonight, if you're ever interested in submitting a proposal possibly for a solo, group, or curated show, you're welcome to submit that. We review those twice a year, around spring and around fall, so March 1st and September 1st deadlines. And we actually have an artist panel, which a lot of people are not aware of. But that's one thing that I find really interesting about Artlink, is we do have an artist panel that help us to select our exhibitions throughout the year and kind of give us their various opinions and voice, things they want to see in Fort Wayne. And with Artlink, we don't ever want to just have a small number of voices making all the decisions, just to keep everything really varied and diverse throughout the year. So our artist panel and we meet twice a year right after those proposals, and we sort of deliberate. We do a voting process that takes usually up to a few months of a process. And then we eventually come to decisions. And there's about 5 slots throughout the year, 3 to 5 slots that'll have solo exhibitions. Usually we have 2 exhibitions at a time. So we're always thinking about pairings, what might go well together, either through their similarities or through their contrasts. That's something that I find really interesting as an artist, to see 2 artists exhibiting at the same time. But yeah, that's the quickest rundown that I have of Artlink as an nonprofit art gallery. But I mainly wanted to focus my time, as I mentioned, on answering anyone's questions about opportunities and, telling you everything that's possible for you as an artist with Artlink. Does anyone have any questions at this moment?
But what you would want to look at or how that would work.
Okay. So I was asked sort of what the solo proposal process is, what all would be needed, and how that process would look. And that is, it depends on whether you're submitting a solo proposal, a group, or a curated exhibition proposal. They're all fairly similar along the same lines. We look for a artist statement, a biography. If it's a group proposal, then we look for a smaller biography on each artist and a small artist statement from each artist. But most people here are probably going to be interested in a solo proposal, so I'll focus on that. And then usually 8 to 10 images of the artwork, which could be the exact artwork that's being proposed. A lot of artists will go that way. They will build the solo exhibition first, and then they'll propose it to us with those images. And then other artists like to work sort of ahead, and they will propose what they are interested in making, and they'll submit images that are just examples of their work to us while proposing what they're going to make. So sometimes we have accepted exhibitions not really knowing exactly what it would look like. We have the visuals from what was described to us, and it's always really fun to kind of see how it actually comes together in the end. Proposals are usually proposed to us at least a year prior to when they're accepted for, if not a year and a half to 2 years. So artists have plenty of time to be making the work that's proposed. So yeah, that is the majority of the process. The voting usually goes in such a way where we get quite a few proposals, and then we narrow down to ones that get the most votes of what is interesting to them at that moment, with obviously taking into consideration what else we have that year. We try not to show work that's maybe too similar to something that's already being shown a couple months prior, either conceptually or visually. So those type of things are kept in mind, and then eventually we'll get to the point where we're able to take those few selections and kind of pair them up and see what works interestingly together.
Are there any other?
Is there a cost or commission?
Is there a cost or commission charged on these?
Yes, for solo group and curated proposals, I believe it's a $25 entry fee to submit the proposal. And then after that, there's no cost to the artist unless they're going to have to ship or frame their work, which most artists drive their work to Artlink, I would say the majority.
Well, now to the most important question of the evening. Are you having alcohol at your openings again since COVID?
Am I having alcohol? We did for our last opening.
Okay.
We were able to have 2
Because
toms.
the last one I went to, there was no alcohol at, and it just wasn't the same.
Oh, no. Yeah, we are hopeful to continue partnering with a brewery to have a bar at our openings. That is the hope moving forward now.
Now, you mentioned those workshops, the ones this summer. Is that a program you're looking to continue? And at the gallery, or?
Yes. So the workshops, that is something we're hoping to continue with. Like I said, having media-based workshops just so that people can get more engaged with the exhibitions by maybe learning some of the processes and delving into it a little further. Part of our plan moving forward is to be more engaging with the viewers. I know a lot of times people walk into an art gallery and they kind of look at the art and they take a quick glance around and they leave. And we're hopeful to make everything as engaging as we possibly can. So we have some workshops coming up. We're also planning some interactive games for those who are coming into the gallery to be able to kind of answer questions, engage more, join the conversation about the art, and investigate their own thoughts about art a little bit more. And we're also hopeful to start having some classes led by artists within our space as well moving forward.
Really, because I know a guy.
Yeah, you do?
Now, you do have classes there right now, twice a week. Can you tell them about the figure drawing?
Yes, we have figure drawing. I don't know if all of you are aware, but we recently actually added a third day. So now we have 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, that we held figure drawing sessions. So we'll have a live nude model for 3 hours from 6 to 9, and they'll hold a variety of poses for a variety of durations. Some nights focus more on long poses for artists that wish to sculpt or paint or just make a more detailed drawing. Other nights will have quicker, shorter duration poses that will help artists to build their skills a little faster if they're new to it or they just enjoy a fast-paced work style. So that is always an option for people. It is $15 for those 3 hours, and sessions can be signed up for on our website, artlinkfw.org, which everything I'm talking about tonight, for those of you who are at home, the exhibitions, our applications, our workshops, everything is accessible online, so you're welcome to hop on there and take a look at what I'm talking about. Yeah?
Is there ever a plan to do clothed model or themed model type figure drawing classes?
That clothed models, she asked if there's ever a plan for doing themed or clothed model nights. And that we don't have a current plan for. That is something we used to do every so often, especially if we didn't have a model for the night. Sometimes the local ballerinas would come and they would wear their full ballerina tutus and everything. And we used to have costume nights. So that's something that we may get more into in the future. But as of right now, I couldn't give a specific date.
Could you tell us more about the upcoming workshops for the artists that are coming in for Kikianga?
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you a little bit more about the workshops from the artists coming in for Kikianga. So the first one will be the pastel workshop in plein air, and that will be instructed by Greg Barnes. I'm really excited for that one. It'll be actually taking place at the Botanical Conservatory, and will be a, I believe, 3-day workshop from June 22nd to the 24th. That one, all of the info and the sign up is on our website. The next will be in July, led by Vlad Yelisyev. Am I pronouncing his name right? I know John's very familiar. Oh, okay. So not quite right, but I'm not going to try to butcher that again. He will be instructing a watercolor plein air workshop. That will be a 3-day long workshop as well, July 25th to the 27th. That one will be held at Promenade Park downtown, which is a really nice location for a workshop that we had last year as well, because it offers that glass pavilion in case of rain. You can still paint plein air through the windows, which is really nice. And in September, we're actually going to have Steve Putrich back again. He was the one that led our workshop last year and was one of the jurors for Kikianga last year. He will be teaching a 2-day workshop, September 12th and 13th, and that will be actually at a Acres Land Trust. So we'll be kind of out in the woods, and there'll be a barn, and that one will be really fun. I'm excited for that more laid-back woodland atmosphere. Does anyone have any other questions about those workshops?
What's the total amount that each of the workshops are going to have people-wise? How many participants?
The workshops will have a total of, I think 16 is the main number that people went through. I think Vlad's possibly had 14 as the max.
And then is there a deadline for signing up for that, like a week ahead, or?
There is no deadline for signing up. I would say at least the day of, but I'm assuming we will sell out long before that. So I would just sign up as early as you can. I know as far as our cyanotype workshop that's coming up in May, that's the nearest one, and that one is nearly sold out.
And then what commission do you charge when you sell, say, like through the member showcase? Yeah, what do you charge for?
The commission that we charge at the gallery is a 35% that goes to Artlink for art sales, and 65% goes to the artist. There's also we have a members discount for art sales, anyone who's an Artlink member, but that's always taken out of Artlink's percentage rather than the artist.
Okay, thank you.
And the member show's an open call, correct?
Yes, the member show is an open call to anyone. You don't even have to be an Artlink member at the time when you're finding out about it, as long as you become or renew your membership when you're dropping off the artwork, which is one thing that I think a lot of people worry about if they're not a current member. They're afraid to try to participate, but if you're not a current member or maybe have never been a member before at all, that's absolutely fine. You can come in, drop off a work of art, and renew your membership right then and there. Memberships.
Charge for that, for the member show?
Yes. If you are already a member, there's just a $10 drop-off fee to enter any artwork you would like, as long as it is under 36 inches. But if you are not a member, the basic individual membership is $35 a year.
And it's one piece of work per artist?
Yes, one piece of work that is within 36 inches or less, and it can be any medium. Yes?
Okay, so it doesn't. Okay, so as a new person entering into the Fort Wayne art community, what's the difference between membership with the Artist Guild and Artlink? Like, what's the difference between membership? Like,
No worries. Well, I can't tell you too much about the membership with the Fort Wayne Artists Guild. That's not something I know too much about, but I can tell you about our Artlink membership. As a Artlink member, there are a couple perks that you get, such as being able to be in the members exhibition every year, as well as getting a 10% discount off of any art sales. But the majority of reason why most people become Artlink members is to support Artlink as a nonprofit gallery and to help us to continue to exist. As I mentioned earlier, we are a nonprofit gallery, which gives us some advantages of being able to show what we want and, not worry too much about making art sales, because that's not where we get the majority of our income. We actually survive kind of in thirds of grants, sponsorships, as well as various things like workshop sales, art sales, tickets for figure drawing, things like that. So membership is a huge help to Artlink, and that's, I would say, the primary reason that I hear from most people is just that they want to support the gallery.
And for the oil painters out there, there is an oil painting judge for Kikianga as well. That workshop has not been finalized yet. It's Christina Bodie. Or Bodie.
Yes.
So that one is coming up as well. It's just not finalized, so there's no paperwork on it yet. Are there any other open calls during the year?
Yes. So are there any more open calls? At the moment, what would be open or about to open starting May 5th is our members exhibition. That's the nearest one that any of you could be involved in very easily. It's actually a non-juried exhibition, so if you are a member, you can drop off a work and be in that. We also have our postcard exhibition that's open all year long to enter, and that ends up taking place in January alongside our regional exhibition. But that's something that if you ever want to make any postcard-sized artworks in any media, so long as they're about 5 by 7, you can submit those to our postcard exhibition. The proposals for solo exhibitions, group exhibitions, and curated are open all year long on a rolling basis. So we do review them twice a year in those deadlines I talked about, March 1st and September 1st, but you can apply anytime you want. It just won't be reviewed until that next upcoming deadline. So if you're really
for what
antsy.
time period would you be taking them for now? 24 or 23?
So the one we're reviewing right now from March 1st, and that we're looking at fall of 2023. So generally about a year out, about a year and a half.
Okay. And you had a question?
Yes, I have two then, actually. This,
Into this. I'm sorry.
the exhibition you're reviewing for the fall of 23,
Mm-hmm.
how long would a solo exhibition be held?
All of our exhibition slots are for about 4 to 5 weeks. So we aim to have them for 5 weeks. That is preferable. It's not always possible with the way that the calendar lines up. So the one that we currently have, the National Print Exhibition, is a 4-week-long exhibition. But for the most part, they're either 4 or 5. There's not really any longer or shorter than that.
And my last question for now. You mentioned a curator exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
What would that be?
So a curated proposal would be somebody who's interested in curation, in putting together a proposal that's not necessarily their own work. It could include their work. Some people will curate an exhibition that includes something of their own, but they kind of just wanted to create a body of work, either by choosing people they know or people that they think just make work that flows well together, maybe has a shared narrative or concept. The last one I can remember being at Artlink that was a curated proposal was actually the one that myself and some professors at Bowling Green State University had curated, called On Being, and that was a focus on realism. So they had curated me and some other alumni and professors that were working within realism. So if you were ever interested in that, the proposal process is just the same, except you're kind of proposing something and you're probably submitting images of all of the artists you're wanting to be involved in that.
Another question I have is on your proposals, whether it's solo, curated, or a group, you said that they would need to submit 8 to 10 images of artwork, but ultimately, if they were chosen, how many would they need to fill the gallery?
So that varies greatly depending on the size of the work. Usually, the majority of the time, our exhibitions are selected 2 at a time because we do have a very large gallery space, if any of you are unfamiliar. Within our walls, we easily fit up to 100 works for group exhibitions, depending on the size, obviously, and whether we're stacking or salon style. But we have quite a bit of wall space. So for a solo proposal, a lot of times it's good for an artist to be familiar with the gallery and maybe propose where they'd like to be seen in the gallery space. Some artists will specifically want to be near our big natural light-filled windows, especially if they have sculptural work or installation work or something that they would like to hang in that space. Other artists may be working with something that has glass frame, like drawings. They may want the very opposite, to be as far away from the windows as they can. We've had artists propose smaller works specifically for our hallway space only. We do kind of tend to section off the gallery by the front area with the windows, the back area that has a lot of wall space for 2D work, and the hallway. But that's not necessarily always the case. We have had exhibitions that filled the whole space. I think Sayaka Gans filled the entire gallery because she creates quite large. So yeah, it really depends proposal to proposal. If an artist is interested in filling the whole space, they would have to write that in their proposal and probably show us that they have enough work or are capable of making that much work in that amount of time. But if they do not, you can always submit a proposal with having nothing made yet. As I mentioned, you can propose something you plan to make. And you can also submit a proposal for, 10 works, depending on the size. And you could just fill one section very nicely.
So what if you've submitted and then you've got work prepared now, but you didn't at the time? Do you just SOL on that, or?
So if you've submitted and didn't have the work at the time, but now do have the work, what should you do in that case? If that happens, I always suggest that artists communicate with me. As the exhibitions coordinator, I am always in full communication with the artists, and if they have any updates to make to their proposal, either while we're still reviewing them or maybe even after they're accepted, they can just send me an email about it, maybe with updated images, updated information. I've even had, right up until the week before an artist is dropping off, I've had them tell me that they took something out or they're adding something in, and things like that always happen. I think communication is key in that aspect.
So the gallery here has the Fort Wayne Photography. Well, I don't know if it's there anymore, but the Fort Wayne Photography Club was there, and okay. And I know that one of their artists had I don't know what kind of art it technically is, but it's the book pages that are like a dress or whatever. So do you guys accept like those types of works as well, or just what I know is more like traditional sculpture and hangable art?
Yeah, we accept all kinds of work, and we love to see all kinds of work and very new work and things that haven't been seen in Fort Wayne, perhaps. It's very exciting to us to see work, especially proposed like that. We've had, at least in the last year, we've had some interesting exhibitions that would be out of the usual. If you ever want to look back on artlinkfw.org, we also continue to show our past exhibitions for at least over a year since they've happened. So you can look back and see some of the work that's been shown. I think what comes to mind would be Rita Grenzi. She had a purely installation exhibition made out of grocery bags, that she made works that she wanted to kind of interact with the natural light of the space, hang from the ceiling. Her proposal was about hunger, the idea of hunger within this country. She wanted to use recycled material. She also wanted to hint at the idea of hunger through the literal grocery bags being used, and crumpled them in a way that would suggest like our aging bodies and our hungry bodies and a hungry belly. And so she had a really interesting proposal, I thought, and her work was selected, though it was very different and very new. So yes, we absolutely love to show both types of work. Things that are more traditional, which we sell a lot, or show a lot, which are paintings, sculptures, things like that. But we also have had video installations that are moving within the space. We've had, installation hanging from the ceiling. We had a printmaker printing on silk that hung in lines across our whole gallery space, which was really fun. It was like walking through a crowded space filled with people. So yeah, to answer your question a little shorter, we do.
So in other words, it's Artlink Contemporary Gallery, is what you're saying.
Yes,
yeah,
but we
that's the
do
name
love
of it.
traditional
Says
as
it
well.
in the name. You mentioned the regional exhibition. Could you explain more what that is?
Yes, so our regional exhibition, which we now call the Midwest Regional Exhibition because we have expanded it to all Midwest states. It used to be only what was regional to Indiana, so we had Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois, and now it includes, I think, around 8 states. It has North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin. So we call it now the Midwest Regional Exhibition, and that is another group exhibition that we hold annually and is open to anyone in the Midwest. So as long as you're residing in a Midwest state, you can apply. It is not medium specific, so any media can be applied with, and it ends up being a very interesting exhibition every year to come and see because of how varied it is in media.
I've always found that show to be kind of, hit and miss. You never know what they're going to accept. Who is the judge this year? Have you decided that?
We have not decided who is jurying this upcoming year of print exhibition and regional exhibition. But I can tell you that we have different jurors every year. So for both of our large juried exhibitions, this current exhibition we have up, the 42nd National Print Exhibition, was juried by Bill Hosterman, who is a print professor and a professional artist up in Michigan at Grand Valley State University. Last year for the print exhibition, we had Ruth Lingen, who's a professional printmaker up in Brooklyn, who had worked with artists like Robert Ryman and Kiki Smith. And we always try to kind of be really varied in who we're picking for jurors so that there's always a unique exhibition every year, even if it's a long-standing exhibition like our print, which is now on the 42nd year, but a totally new exhibition every year.
Okay, one of our Zoom attendees is asking, is there a gallery layout available for people that are creating a proposal to have a better idea of like where they, where they'd prefer when creating it? I don't know if you have pictures on your website or you can send someone a layout. I think they're just trying to get a better idea of this space.
That's a really good question, and that's something that we have been thinking about getting better with. Right now, as it stands, when artists are interested in knowing what our layout looks like to make a proposal, they usually will reach out to me. I will send them an Artlink layout just to get the basic layout of the gallery space, though some aspects of the gallery are movable. 5 of our walls move around, so we're able to kind of adjust for each exhibition. And I'll also usually send videos and images to those artists of the space and what it looks like in different arrangements. But that is something that I am planning to soon add into the website so that it's built in.
Or of course, they could just go visit. It's right across from the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. And
Yeah, I would love it if you came and visited and talked to me in person.
The Midwest Regional Exhibition, when do you anticipate that will be this year, and the deadline to submit?
So the Midwest Regional takes place, I believe, January to February each year, around that time. We try to have calls for entry out at least 6 months prior. So you can look for that exhibition on our website. That call for entry should be on the apply section here within the summer. And then usually I think entries close for our calls for entry around 2 to 1 month ahead of time. We have to give enough time for the juror. We usually give the jurors about 2 weeks to review everything, make their selections, and then we give artists at least 3 weeks to be able to drop off or ship their work.
And that's an electronic submission then?
Yes. The only the only submissions that are not electronic for us would be our members exhibition and our postcard exhibition. Everything else throughout the year is submitted online digitally through images, which reminds me, I wanted to tell you all that we are soon going to be opening a photography studio within Artlink. That will be accessible to artists and Artlink members to come in and learn to document their artwork professionally. So we'll be holding workshops as well as just knowledgeable staff available to help. And we will have a laptop available with editing programs for people to build their digital portfolio out. So obviously those could be used to apply to things with us at Artlink, but could also be used to apply anywhere else nationally or internationally. We are really hoping to be sort of a springboard for artists and help to advance their careers in any way that we can, whether that be just to show them how to document their work. But we are also planning to start putting out some how-to videos for things such as writing artist statements and writing CVs and submitting exhibition proposals and even things simple as wiring a painting. Just everything like that are things that we're hoping to do in the future. So please take advantage.
Speaking of being a springboard, there used to be a critique group that met there. on Saturdays. Is that still happening or not?
Just recently it began happening again. So we do have a peer-to-peer critique if anyone is interested. That happens on the last Saturday of every month from 1 to 3. And that can be found on our social media as well if you follow us and on our website. But the peer-to-peer critique is just a group of people who are interested in having maybe the work they're working on or something they recently finished talked about and critiqued by a group of their peers just to get some feedback. Anyone can come, you're welcome to, and bring any work you're interested in having reviewed by group. I know some of you maybe went to school for art, and a lot of times people really miss that peer-to-peer critique environment that you have in art school and are hoping to continue something like that. So that's why we offer it at Artlink once a month. And it's a very fun process. That along with our figure drawing, and we also recently have started a mindful mending club. So if anyone here is interested in learning to mend and renew used clothing or anything textile based, we have a group that meets on the third Monday of the month every month now at Artlink.
I could bring my old clothes that I've torn up. They show me how to fix them.
Yes, absolutely. It's a really great group of people who are just interested in recycling and reusing and want to, stop with fast fashion as much as they can. So the group will meet, and some people have little to no experience in mending at all. But thankfully everyone's very kind and will share ideas and share different ways to mend clothing, and they have a blast while they do it. So feel free to join on that. There's no cost. You just show up and have fun and mend some clothing.
Artlink used to have an art sale in the evening, and people could bring used supplies or leftover supplies they had, unused art things they had, actual work that they had done, maybe work that they had purchased. Now they're changing their decor, so they want to sell it. Do you guys have anything planned like that?
We do have a art supply sale in the works that we will be holding. I'm not sure on the details yet, but if you follow us on our email list and on our website and our social media, you'll see that when it's presented. I believe it'll probably take place this summer sometime. But if anyone is ever interested also in selling your artwork in more of a style like that or a craft-based sale, we also have an Artlink market that we hold twice a year. One of them is coming up this summer called Artlink Market at Taste of the Arts. That's a one-day market that takes place during the Taste of the Arts Festival, and it's an all-day market out on Main Street, and we'll have up to 50 art craftsmen vendors that are selling their works. And that's a curated market that is open for application right now. And we also have an Artlink market in the winter, and that one takes place across the 3 weekends leading up to Christmas. So it's a really great indoor, thankfully, indoor festival for artists to sell usually more winter-based works like candles and sweaters and hats.
Is that at the gallery then?
That is at the gallery, yes. And it is open this year. We tend with the Artlink Market to focus more towards craftsmen and craft arts, but we are opening up to more fine arts as well. So absolutely, if that's something you're interested in, feel free to submit an application. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say something. Now, I've heard everything about Artlink and the problems that Artlink had in the past. And I've been a member of the artist panel for 2 years? 2 years. And let me tell you, Lynette and Ellen are doing a wonderful job down there. Just a wonderful job. So all that stuff that you heard, that's in the past. There were some problems in the past. They know that I speak the truth.
Yeah.
Things are much better now, both financially and administratively. And I would highly recommend that you go ahead and join the Artlink family. It's a wonderful organization, and you're going to have access to a photography studio. And people who can show you how to use it. Right there is worth $35 a year. Right there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, John. I appreciate the kind words. And yes, we are trying our very best at Artlink to cater to artists in the community, as well as, still trying to show nationally and internationally as well. But our main goal is always to support Fort Wayne and the Fort Wayne artists and keep, everybody happy and exhibiting their work and advance your careers in any way that we can, whether that be a photography studio or some how-tos or just coming into the gallery to chat with us. We are interested in helping in any way, and we're also very personable, so feel free to come in and just chat with us. That's one of my favorite things at the gallery is having artists come in, whether they're familiar with Artlink or not, and just kind of chatting about all the possibilities that they have in Fort Wayne, even if it's not at Artlink. I'm very interested in helping artists, to get wherever they would like to. That's my main goal as the exhibitions coordinator. So absolutely reach out to me with any questions that you have. My email is on the website. So is Lynette's, the executive director. All of the artist opportunities that I talked about are on our website and open for registry right now. I also brought some flyers that are over there too. So if there's anything that you're interested in at all, go ahead and take that. And you can also stop me anytime or call me at the gallery or email me if you have questions.
There are flyers for all the workshops we mentioned. They're over there. And if you're at Zoom, too bad, you should have came. We're going to take them all, and we're not going to give you any. We're going to take a 5-minute break and then have our business meeting.
Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne. Learn more under the Explore tab at acpl.info.